In this episode, we're going to cover the most important aspect, health and safety. We're going to cover everything from vaccines to is it safe to go on safari? Is Africa safe? Is there crime? Do's and don'ts, just so your African experience is the best possible. Do I need vaccines? Should I go get vaccines? Are vaccines mandatory?
So depending which country you're going to, in Africa, there's going to be a possibility of some mandatory vaccinations and some which will be optional. You will need to go and see a qualified medical practitioner to find out which you're going to need. So make an appointment with your GP or visit your local travel clinic. Some of the common vaccinations which will be necessary are yellow fever, hepatitis A and B, typhoid, and possibly some other routine immunisations. Your health practitioner will ask you for that information. We do recommend that you visit a travel clinic 4 to 6 weeks before departure so that you have time to get the necessary vaccinations, and also discuss with the medical practitioner when you're there about malaria prevention, because unless you're coming to South Africa and visiting Addo and one of the malaria-free reserves, you will need to talk to them for up-to-date medical advice about preventing malaria.
A lot of the safari destinations in Africa, malaria is endemic. Some parks more so than others, some season more so than others. In other words, during the rainy season, there's definitely more malaria in an area. During the dry season, it significantly reduces. So our advice is you will definitely need to consider taking malaria precautions if you are going to a malaria endemic area. Please speak to your health consultant, as they will best advise you in terms of what is recommended for the specific area and what options are available to you. There are certain side effects of malaria medications that you need to check with your healthcare provider and just make sure you're fully aware of those. So should you show any signs, you can obviously be aware that it is more than likely due to your malaria medication. Obviously, when you go on safari makes a big difference in terms of malaria. So if you're going on safari in the hot summer months, the likelihood of mosquitoes is going to be a lot higher, where that likelihood then drops in the drier season. In terms of personal protection beyond your medication, we always recommend that come dusk that you wear long pants, long sleeve top. We recommend that you bring along mosquito repellent with you, and just be very conscious of the fact that when in a malaria area, should you start showing any symptoms whatsoever, always err on the side of caution and notify the camp manager, notify your guide, and they will then advise you from there.
I always travel with a small first aid kit. Whether I'm going on a guided tour or I'm going camping for the weekend, it's definitely worthwhile bringing your own first aid kit. Saying that, the tour guide of the vehicle will also have a comprehensive first aid kit for passengers on the safari vehicle. But in terms of your personal use, having a small little first aid kit is definitely worthwhile. So packing things like sunscreen, after sun, painkillers, salts for rehydrate. Often like people suffer from heat stroke or sun. That's worthwhile packing. Plasters, just the little things, that would crop up. It's worthwhile having just a basic first aid kit to bring with you. And then any additional items if you suffer from any allergies, like allergy for bee stings, like I do, for example. I always travel with Allergex and a prescribed medication. Or if you have a high allergy, possibly an EpiPen, just make sure you bring those items with you.
Super important. Most tour operators will insist on travel insurance. It's super important requirement for African budget safaris. It's a must-have. The areas in Africa that you will go to are remote. Any evacuations, any medical emergencies can be extremely expensive. Make sure you get travel insurance before you arrive. Make sure that when you are traveling, you inform your insurer or check the policy that it's going to cover you comprehensively. We often have clients that want to know whether they can just simply use their medical insurance from home, or if they book the flights on their credit card, can they just use the travel insurance based on the offering that comes from the credit card company? The answer simply is no. Make sure you go and get a policy that covers you for evacuation, that it covers you for repatriation, that covers you for cancelled trips, from getting sick while on safari or getting sick before your safari. It's extremely disheartening for a lot of our clients who've been in situations where they've booked a trip, paid for a trip, not arranged their travel insurance, got sick at home a few days before, and all of a sudden they're unable to travel and they're unable to get their funds back because it's too close to departure time. So do your homework, make sure you understand the terms and conditions thoroughly, make sure you have evacuation insurance in place, and it is mandatory for anyone going on safari with us, and for most safari operators that'll be the same case.
The general answer is going to be yes. We're only going to send you to destinations where it is safe to travel. If there is any change in a situation, if there's political unrest, then we're going to amend the itinerary. No one should be taken by surprise of anything happening during their safari that was unexpected. You are going to be travelling with a trained guide and staff, so they're going to ensure your security. They're going to warn you when you arrive in a city if there's a particularly high risk of pickpockets, the same as whether you were going to visit London, Sydney, New York. If you're in an area that's appealing to tourists and a highly visited area, yes, there are going to be petty thieves hanging around, particularly at ATMs as well. So your guide is always going to give you advice. So stay aware, don't carry too much cash, don't wear lots of jewellery. You have every reason to expect that your safari is going to be safe. When you're staying at a safari lodge, you're going to be given a safety briefing. If you can't walk back to your room in the evenings, if it's an unfenced camp without being accompanied by an armed ranger, you will be told that, and it's important that you listen to that advice and follow the information you're given, and then you'll have a fantastic holiday and stay safe on your African safari.
Water quality really varies from different destinations or locations, so always check in advance before using the tap water, either for drinking or for even brushing your teeth. But what's good to know is that generally all the safari lodges and in the vehicles, you'll have access to drinking water, bottled water. Some cases it's included in the cost of the safari or your accommodation. But also bring your own water bottle with you. Just be more environmentally conscious. You could top up, fill up that water bottle with drinking water at the lodge before you depart. And also sometimes in the safari vehicles, they'll have a water dispenser with drinking water to fill up your water bottles. And again, as mentioned, use the bottled water for brushing your teeth also, just in terms of safety. You don't want to pick up any bugs by using the tap water when brushing your teeth.
So when you're on safari, you're going to have a guide and you must follow the expert guidance that is provided. The biggest risk on safari is visitors who ignore the safety instructions. If you're told to always stay in the vehicle, avoid sudden movements and listen to your guide, we ask that you do please follow the guide's instructions. They have gone through extensive training. They will have spent years out in the bush, and they will give you the absolute information you require in order to stay safe. So it is important, and if you can't understand them, please make sure they know they must explain things to you again so that you do understand. This is for the safety of you and for the wildlife.
Safety in terms of your personal items inside lodges. It's very rare that something would be taken from your room, but you still need to be vigilant. If there is a safe and you're traveling, say, with your laptop for work reasons that you have to use, or you got expensive camera equipment, if you're away from the room and you're leaving that equipment there, just don't leave it lying around in full sight. Rather use the safe that's provided. The same if you're in public spaces, say the lounge area of the lodge or hotel. If you sat somewhere and you want to go off, don't just leave your phone lying out in full view. Just be a bit more conscious of your belongings, and generally you won't have an issue. And in terms of wildlife safety, your rooms, always make sure that windows are closed. For example, if there's any vervet monkeys on the property and that, they'll try and get into the room and they're going to cause a lot of damage to the room, possibly your own belongings. So make sure the doors are closed, windows are closed, or your tents are zipped up.
The short answer to that is absolutely. You need to be aware that guides that take clients on walking safaris are specialist guides. They are trained in several reserves where firearms are allowed. Your guide will have a firearm with him at any one time. Your guide will be active in keeping you away from dangerous animals such as buffalo and predators such as lion, always bearing in mind that the idea with a walking safari is the microsystem as opposed to spotting wildlife. That is definitely not the focus. Short and sweet of it, absolutely listen to your guide. He'll instruct you as to when to keep quiet, when to stop, when to take a detour. They will keep you safe. Many thousands of clients have done walking safaris without incident, but the overriding thing is your guide knows best. Listen to him, listen to your pre-walk instruction, and just be vigilant at all times. Feel free to signal to your guide should you spot something that he may not have spotted. But overall, absolutely, safety is paramount on a walking safari.
So when you arrive at your lodge, you will be given a safety briefing. Some lodges are fully fenced, some will only have an elephant fence, and some are completely open and the wildlife can roam freely. So it is important to listen carefully when you're given the safety briefing and the instructions on what to do should you see wildlife. Particularly at night, the lodge is going to give you strict instructions, and at some locations you will need an armed guard to walk you to your room. At others, it'll be absolutely fine for you to do that on your own. So again, it does come down to listen to the safety briefing, be sure you understand everything you've been told, and ask questions if you have any particular concerns.
If you're in the vehicle and you're seated and you're not making any sudden movements, you don't need to worry about getting attacked by any of the predators like lions or leopards or cheetah. You know, they generally view the vehicle as one sort of entity and they're not going to single you out. But if you make sudden movements or you stick your hands out and arms out and wave about and attract their attention, that's going to be a cause for concern. So just follow the guide's instructions and you'll be safe from predators. In terms of the reduction, like I said, stay seated and just listen to the guide and everything will be fine on the game drive.
And never leave your vehicle. Huge problem, especially around water holes. I've seen it before in several parks where, especially with self-drive clients, they will get to a water hole and they will see no wildlife around and decide this is a great time to get out, only to realize that literally 30 meters away, lying under the tree, is a lion. So getting out of your vehicle in a safari park is an absolute no-no. Otherwise, completely safe. Just listen to your guide, stay within the vehicle, no shouting, screaming, jumping up with excitement, anything that will startle the wildlife.
Yeah, so it's always something to consider. The creepy crawlies. Snakes generally aren't an issue, especially within camp. They generally will avoid people or areas where there's movement and that sort of thing, or sounds. So very rare to come across a snake while you're in camp. But, you know, obviously you still need to be cautious. So keep your eye out for anything that looks unusual or possibly could be a snake. You know, just mention it to, if you see it, just highlight it, mention it to one of the staff that it's there. And obviously keep away from it. More of an issue is things like scorpions. Scorpions will basically move around anywhere. They'll hide underneath clothing. They can climb into shoes. So to take measures to protect yourself, if you are putting in your shoes in the morning, just give them a knockout, make sure there's nothing inside it. When you're going on bushwalks, wear sort of protective clothing, wear very sturdy pants like jeans. In terms of shoes, rather wear boots than sandals. And then also use a repellent for other sort of insects and that. Now, horsefly is also an issue, or what they call tsetse fly. Give a very nasty bite. They use an insect repellent to help repel those nasty insects.
Do not panic. Do not shout, scream, turn around, run away. It's the last thing you need to be doing. Try to be as calm as possible. Keep your eye on the predator or on the dangerous animal. Slowly back off. But overall, the only time you are going to encounter wildlife on foot is if you're doing a walking safari with a trained guide who will be very adept in handling these situations. He will take or she will take command of the situation and advise accordingly. And that's all you really need to take into consideration with that topic.
So if you're at your safari lodge and there's any kind of medical emergency, the immediate action you should take is to advise your guide or the lodge staff and that is your absolute first priority. All safari camps are going to have an evacuation plan, an emergency plan. So whatever the medical emergency is, they will have protocols in place, and this will include air evacuation if it's a particularly remote location or depending upon the nature of the emergency. It's absolutely vital that your travel insurance includes medical evacuation, because whilst you're on your African safari, you are going to be in remote locations. You can be hundreds of kilometres from the nearest hospital, so air evacuation could be necessary should a medical emergency arise.
African safaris are a once-in-a-lifetime experience. With a bit of preparation, a bit of common sense, and a bit of understanding of how to react within certain situations, it will be an unforgettable experience. And with that, we'd like to wrap this episode up. We'd like to encourage you to like, subscribe, and share. Also check out our website, africanbudgetsafaris.com, in the link below, where we can assist with everything and anything to do with safaris. Also check out our free newsletter and 6-part email course.